Oftentimes when people think about freedom in their lives, they're mostly taken up and they're thinking about freedom from things that they don't like. Their freedom from a place they don't like, freedom from, employment that they don't like, freedom from relationships, marriage, freedom from family ties that they don't like. And so most of the talk in the world about freedom is really freedom from something that you find oppressive, freedom that you find limiting and confining. And what you want to do is you want to free yourself from that. And I would say that anytime freedom is talked about in the news, or it's depicted in the movies or in novels, you can almost invariably think that what they're really talking about is freedom from. And not many people talk about freedom to. And the reason is that freedom from generally will involve getting together with a lot of other people to free yourself up from something. And that's where politics is a lot about freedom from. But the real freedom, much more powerful freedom, I think that the second freedom is 10 times more powerful than the first freedom. So the second freedom is freedom to. You're not actually reacting to something you don't like. You are actually creating ahead of you something that you do love. It's a way of operating in the world. It's a way of experiencing yourself at a much better and much bigger area of performance and results. And so what I notice in coaching entrepreneurs over 40 years, that I can help people very easily to free themselves up from something. That's an easy thing to do, because all you need to do is get them to tell the truth about everything they don't like, and then to start make decisions and communicate and take actions, and pretty soon they're free from it, And it doesn't mean that it's not scary, doesn't mean it's not painful. It can be, scary. There can be a cost to doing it, but it's usually pretty easy to think about. But then what I notice is that once they're freed up from, they still have a feeling that they're not free. And I think the reason is because the real freedom that you really want is to have a future that corresponds to your greatest visions about yourself, your greatest ideals about yourself. And you can't you can't realize this second freedom by rebelling. You can't fighting something. It doesn't involve fighting. It doesn't involve getting away from it. It actually involves creativity, that you're going to create an entirely new situation for yourself. This is custom designed future. But that's only half the story. And the real story that really brings about entrepreneurial happiness is really the story of who you now become once you're having experienced freedom from. Now you get to spend the rest of your life experiencing freedom to. And this is where the great breakthroughs are made in the entrepreneurial world. This is where the great innovations take place. The entrepreneurs who operate more and more, of their time in the area of freedom to, they create great new products, they innovate great new services, and they become legendary in the world. And that's really, for me, having devoted more than half my life to entrepreneurism, that's the real payoff, is the having gone through the first stage of freeing yourself up from, then switching the gears and devoting the rest of your life to freedom to. And this is where you do the most amount of good for everyone in your life, because they're so inspired by your example of greater freedom to do something rather than greater freedom to get away from something.